Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to the first session. Hello, Brian. How are you?
Good, Fetty. Thank you so much for having me. I really like that the music for the intro, just like
I was
grooving in the back.
vibing. I was vibing. Standard music, no copyright, so no one sues us. Vibing in the background. So, welcome everyone. This is the first class in the AI Agent Founder School by Mode. We're going to be talking about a few things today. First of all, the path from dev to founder, how to be a founder in this space, how does it feel like, what you should do, what should you consider. That's why we have Brian here, founder of Pistachio. We were talking about that. Depends on how you want to pronounce it and yeah, how you're feeling in the day. How are you, Brian? All good?
I'm doing good. Did back-to-back meetings all day long, and so which is typical of the founder life, right? It's just nonstop, just something that you sort of either you love or you hate, and you sort of have to love it if you want to be a founder. You learn to love it if not.
Yeah, I'm sure. Meetings all day, pitching all day as well. How many times have you pitched Pistachio? Like,
Lost count. Lost count. It's all
nice.
day. When I went to DevCon back in November, and it was just I'm surprised. I didn't I don't drink much anyway as it is, but like I didn't drink that entire week or like really party just because I was from sun up to sundown just pitching Pistachio over and over and over and over. And I must have spoken to like 500 plus people throughout the course of the week. It was amazing though, to meet so many people and get so much on like in-person feedback about the app, and like really to see people's like eyes light up when like I'm showing them like the thing that we created. So it was really amazing.
Yeah, I can understand you. Usually those events are crazy, crazy. Well, we have you here for a little time and we have a long agenda to go through. Just for everyone listening to us, this is the first class. It's going to be recorded for everyone. If you cannot stay here for the whole time, don't worry, you can watch it later. We're going to focus on the first task that everyone had, which is the pitch, the 3-minute video pitch as an entry ticket to the hackathon, bootcamp, whatever you want to call it. It's the first hackathon where you have to pitch first and then build, which, yeah, we love the idea. So we're gonna get started. I see the comments going crazy. People, yeah, saying hello, hi. Here we have a bunch of comments saying hi. People are excited. The vibes in the chat. Brian, you're around. You're in the chat, right? Like you see it.
No, where do
Um,
I chat? Do I exit the car?
in
Here it
the
is.
no,
It's
no worries, no worries. Yeah, exactly. But
showing. Look at
yeah,
that. Let's
yeah,
fucking
not only here in
go.
the Telegram chat as well. People sharing their ideas already. I love it. I love it. I want to see more pitches incoming, more videos. Okay, so we're gonna get started first. Let's do an intro, Brian. Like, who are you? Why did we invite you here? Why are you talking to us today? And why am I asking you questions? Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got here?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to be as concise as possible. So Brian Smocovich, I'm a founder. I've been in Ethereum, the ecosystem now for a while. I probably kind of joined crypto in like 2016, 2017 era, piggybacking off. Originally, I was in finance and more institutional finance. I was like a certified financial advisor, Series 763, all that, doing like 12 hours of cold calling a day, which was just brutal. Left that to go work for some French investment banks. I worked directly for like the COOs and CIOs of like BNP Paribas and Credit Agricole, mostly doing like optimization, cost reduction. That was around the time when like BNP Paribas got hit with that like $5 billion fine. And so working with them for several years before kind of going down the blockchain rabbit hole and just really falling in love with the technology and like the potential that it had to kind of revolutionize finance and everything else in the world. Decided to take a course, like a Solidity developers course, when I was not a developer at all. Still am not a developer. I've tried. It's just not my.
How long ago was that?
This was in 2017, I believe. And the core, actually, the course that the company that was putting on the course, a company called Block Apps, they were like the first company to spin out of Consensus at the time. And so I took the course with them, and they ended up hiring me as their sales executive because I was just like really a huge participant in their class, right? And they're like, "Are you do you happen to be looking for a job in sales?" I'm like, "As a matter of fact, I am. Let's go." Like, I've been trying to like break into the blockchain space. I was going to a lot of the early Ethereum meetings that were in like the New York City Microsoft offices and meeting like the early consensus people. It was really cool to like see kind of how much it's grown since then. And then so did basically like enterprise grade Ethereum for a little while, for several years, and sort of fell out of that because I wanted to work in like the public space, right? I wanted to work in like the public blockchain space and not so much with like corporations. And that led me to a few ventures. It's when I started to sort out my early entrepreneurial adventures. I had like did like a bit of e-commerce when I realized that like, okay, entrepreneurship is difficult. And so if I'm going to be doing difficult things, I need to be doing something that I really, really want to do, right? And at first, I tried getting into like I led this like NFT community project, right, where people were like, "Oh my God, congrats, you're a founder!" And I sort of felt like an imposter at first, right? I'm just like, "What am I founding? It's a community, right?" And it really sparked this fire inside me to want to just build a legitimate product and build something awesome. And so that's sort of where like Pistachio was born. I did some we did some like hackathons at early DevCon, trying to like more so focus on mobile, like on-chain mobile, and creating this concept of what an on-chain self-custody bank could look like. And that's sort of like where Pistachio was born, right? And the idea of just like there's been so many complaints over the years of like Ethereum UX specifically, right? Gas and token approvals and seed phrases, and like the list goes on and on and on. And I was like, okay, I want to build a product that focuses on all of these pains very specifically, while also making like a really sexy application, right? That was like the whole goal from the beginning, is make something really sexy. And
Which
so,
you're an Ethereum OG. You've been around for quite a long time. I got into crypto in 2017. At that point, everything was horrible. Everything worked like it worked. If something didn't work, everyone was like, "Well, just keep trying, restart it, just try whatever you can to make it work." Um, and as an industry, we still keep a little bit of that vibe, right? But
mhm.
what you're talking about at that time, at that point when you started with the idea, you had to build almost everything, right? I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. Like, how forward thinking were you? It's like, how far away from reality, looking back, were you at that time? Like, did you know how many things you had to build? Because I know that this is for everyone that's kind of new in the space. Everyone's complaining we have too much infra and that everyone's doing infra right now. I think, and I've always thought we need more infra, a lot more, because a lot of the teams were doing everything. Like, and when I say everything, is like all the backend, all the services, everything that included their application, right? So, like, what is your experience on that? Like, how far away from idea to reality were you?
Very, very.
This very
It,
far.
it's it's hard in the beginning because especially me as like someone who wasn't a developer, like I needed to very much I had to my role and my responsibility was to have I had this vision, right? I had this vision of what I wanted to do, and my goal was to communicate that vision. And at that point, it's just words, right? Like getting people on board. I have to, whether it's like building the website, building the initial versions of the app. I taught myself UX UI design so that I could go in and build the prototype of the app just within a Figma, so that I could then find my CTO, find who is now my CTO, find a developer and sell him on the vision to want to work with me and create it, right? And so there was this massive disconnect of just like ideation through creation. And now it's really amazing because we have this mobile app in test flight that I can just like pull up that, you've seen, and I can show you, and this is what we want to do, and this is everything we want to do. And it's much easier to show than tell. And so in the beginning, it was literally just figuring out every single part of what we wanted to do. And especially because we're mobile first, it takes like a long time to build the initial back end, right? And everything that like comes with like the infrastructure there. I love that you even mentioned that everyone's doing infrastructure. It's like we're finally at the point now where it's much easier to build because of all the infra, because of basically like the investments in the bear markets in infrastructure. Like it makes our job so much easier, but we still are very far away, right? There's a very large. I wrote a thread recently of like the lack of standardization in crypto, and especially when it comes to like lack of like React Native mobile support and SDKs when it revolving around that. And there's we're still very far from where we could be to sort of empower developers to be able to develop much faster. I think we'll get there for sure. But it is about focusing on like what works, what doesn't, what needs to be improved, what tooling is out there. And that's just, it's whether it's like a thing of trial and error, it's like for better or for worse, Ethereum and the EVM is decentralized, right? Especially when it comes to like development efforts and people building on top of it, which creates this lack of standardization. Eventually we sort of like coalesce around certain standards because we see what works better than others. But it's painful during the trial and error period of like figuring out, okay, what didn't work, right? Like you're not going to get your architecture right on the very first time around. You really have to like toy with everything first and start building until you realize like, whose code is really good. But then it's also from the BD perspective, right? Like whose support is really good. Who's going to respond to me within a day or within the hour if something's going wrong, right? If I'm building a production grade app and you don't respond to me for a week, like that's a problem, and it doesn't matter how good your code is, it'll shift, you know?
This this please everyone listen. Why did I invite Brian here? Number one, his vision. I love your vision on everything, and you're such an OG in the Ethereum ecosystem that you've seen like how everything evolved, right? And
Mhm.
I think that gives you a really good vision of where we are actually at right now. And
Mhm.
understand we're talking to possible builders of the next really good apps, right? Be it agents, be it AI with DeFi, be it whatever. Um, Listen to this advice because having worked at the layer two for like the past year and a half with Mode, that is what I've realized as well, is that there's teams that are really good at sales but not really good at execution, and there's
Mhm.
teams that will do everything to help you and to solve your problems. I need to see that because maybe those teams are not the biggest names out there. Maybe those teams are not the ones with the most money. Maybe those teams uh, are a little bit more expensive. Like it depends on the team, but working with quality people that will answer to you fast and that will like make sure that you succeed, it's much more important than anything else. It Maybe the tech is even a little bit worse and you will need to figure that out, but you will have issues with everything, right? I cannot imagine the amount of issues you've solved in the with Pistachio. And how hard is it to build on mobile? Like there's not a lot of mobile applications for Web3. How hard
Right.
is it?
Again, I wrote that thread. People commented, "Oh, there's some pretty decent wallets." It's like, yeah, but there's not. There's a reason you don't see more, right? It's like there's so many questions initially that you have to answer, especially with like because you have to be very, very forward looking when you want to build these things. It's like, okay, are we going to build on iOS native, Android native, or are we going to build on React native so that we can deploy to both, right? Which is the course that we went. So we would just have to maintain one code base. But then Expo brings its own development challenges in which like maybe the Android version isn't working for this reason. And so you do have to like give some TLC to both sides. And then when you are like discussing the infrastructure, right? Like the architecture, and you're building your architecture for the companies that you want to integrate with. Do they have a React Native SDK? Do they have a quality React Native SDK, right? Do some of them have it, but like maybe it doesn't work well. Their documentation's not well done, right? And then it's about like taking all of these different integrations and making them work all together, making sure that they are compatible with one another, that they are passing along gas estimations in like a certain way that one way is calculating it and the other way can read it, because some people like to kind of create their own proprietary way to do gas calculations, which just makes everything more difficult. And so it's tough. And then you have to always realize that if you are building with a lot of integrations, right, it can speed up your development tenfold, right? Because these people have been working on this infrastructure for the last 2+ years. The problem is that you are then dependent on them, right? And so you have to make sure either that they're not going out of business, that they're giving you good deals, that they're not siphoning too much of like your revenue streams. And so it's a very tricky balance between creating something proprietary and leveraging already built infrastructure and making the decision. But like if you're unfunded, like we were mostly bootstrapped. We raised a very small angel round and are still like bootstrapped, right? It's like, so we have a lot of decisions that need to be made based on that. So we have a very lean architecture, a very optimized architecture, right? That we keeps us very low cost in the long run. We have good business deals with our partners. You know, shout out to any of the people that we've integrated into Pistachio. You know, I love all of our business partners. There's a reason I've kind of have chosen them. And one thing I like to say is, and one kind of like realization that some people may not like, or you may love, is that business is very nepotistic at the end of the day. You know, it's all about who you know, and it's about like, because people want to work with the people that they like. That's it. Like if people don't like you, they won't work with you. Like it's just like it's unnecessary friction. And so you have to be like likable and kind in a way, because if you're a dick, it's like, dude, I don't need you. Like I'll just go to like one of the other infrastructure providers that does the same thing that you do, because it's easier to work with that person. And so it's like, again, for better or for worse, it's like you hear people complain, oh well, that person got the job because they knew someone. It's like, yeah, because that person is going to show up every single day and you're going to work together every single day. And even if you maybe were slightly more qualified than that person, if the people like to work with that person better, it creates more cohesion within the team, which is very important, right? Like if you hire someone that's discordant, or that causes unnecessary friction, your whole team will move slower. And
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah,
God
you're right.
causes problems, right? Like what if your like lead engineer, your best person quits because they have a problem with like the problem person that you hired, right? It's
So
cohesion
I
is important
I
things.
need to highlight you're dropping facts here like crazy, man. Like I if anyone like to everyone listening right now, you'll have to go back and rewatch this and go word by word because I feel really close to what you're mentioning, and I feel like I've learned this by working really really hard a long time, in an ecosystem where we work with a bunch of Web3 teams, and this is applicable to like any business, I think, and especially on tech, because you
Mhm.
need to think about the balances of like, is this good technology? Is it not? Is this oh, we have a question here. This is a good one. I'll address it right now. But this thing of like hiring talent, and there's so many things other than tech that are super important for the success of your company that you need to take into account. And that is why in this kind of founder school we're gonna have, technical workshops. We're gonna help you teach like, but everyone listening right now, most of the people are devs that already can figure out the technical part. I'm not worried that you won't figure out how to deploy an agent to a TEE. It's just a video away to doing that. Now, which provider you want to choose? Which teams are you going to work with? Some people were like, hey, I want to be a solo, I want to build solo. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry, my video is doing weird things. There we go. Some people were like, I don't want to work in a team. I want to work alone because I've had issues in the past. And that is kind of the point. Like, try to find people that you can work with that complement you, that do other things. Like, if you're a really good developer and you don't want to talk to people, find a founder like Brian that can understand technical stuff and can maybe help you sell the thing that you're doing and help you guide and talk to in the late nights when you have to make hard decisions. Because the number one thing that Y Combinator and all the other accelerators and things look for is if you have a co-founder. If you're a solo founder, that is like the first check mark of like, we need to find you a co-founder. And I
Yeah,
heard this from really, people that are involved in these processes. So think about that. We're not forcing you to be in a team. We're going to let you be a solo builder this time, but we really think that for you to succeed, it's always better to have someone on your side. And with the infra that you talked about, is like working with good teams, people that you like, making connections. This is what is gonna give you like the most rewards in the future. It's a long-term game, but that's why we're here for 3 weeks building all together to make these connections and to, grow.
yeah,
You mentioned I'm gonna do the ton question more towards the end because I want to ask you something first that I think it's on a lot of devs' minds and founders, and that is like, what is the difference between raising from a VC or bootstrapping or launching a token, and why are you bootstrapping? Like, if we have any angels out there listening to you, just know you can ping Brian, but like, What went through your mind, and what are the decisions that you made on this?
Yeah, it's a very there's a lot of nuance to this type of question. Even before I get into this, I want to say, someone said to me recently, and I've really taken it to heart, was to go far, go together. If like you want to be, you need a team. You need to create. If you haven't seen, I'm sort of obsessed with One Piece, and so it's this long running manga of a pirate crew, and that's very much how I see my team. I see myself as Luffy, and I have my own straw hat up there. Just like putting my crew together of like my family that I'm going to like build this product with. And so it's really important to not be alone on this journey. So back to the fundraising question. It's a matter of like your network at the end of the day, if you can. Like fundraising is really frustrating and can be really frustrating. And it's sort of why Web3 is really good at crowdfunding, right? And that's sort of what was one of the use cases that's really, really good at. The problem is depending on where you're based geographically or where your nationality is. Like I'm American, and that makes it infinitely harder to raise from a crowd fund, especially in crypto. Most other countries don't have this problem, right? So if you're from another country, you should seriously look at some sort of like token launch, or I've seen people do like patron NFTs as like a way to sort of get around it legally, because you're not selling like a future promise of return. You're just selling a support digital product, right? And so like you should be ready to bootstrap. I think by bootstrapping, you learn a lot more. You learn like where to spend money, where not. Like one of the most important lessons you'll learn being a founder, especially if you do have some money, is where not to spend money, right? Because like you're gonna mess up. Like you will spend money in inappropriate places. It's just like the one of the learning processes of doing business. And so you really have to understand what's worth it, and like holding certain people to like a very high caliber, being very skeptical of people with their hands outreached, who do want money. Everyone, like, man, my DMs are blown up every day, right? Just nonstop of people who just want to get paid for really generally mid to low quality activity that really doesn't matter. And so you have to like know what's going to move the needle and what's not. And then if you do want to raise, it's like you need to have a background of success if you want to raise without much effort, right? Like if you want to have like an exit, or if you've previously had exits, it makes it much easier to raise. If you have a good network and know a lot of these VCs, it makes it easier to raise. But what you want to do sort of as a founder in order going into that raise, because if you've never done it before, read a few books, understand or speak to people who have gone through the process about how not to get screwed. There are a lot of very, very extractive VCs out there. Of course, there's some great ones as well, but like you have to be able to identify which is which, and like which ones want to, for example, put in certain terms and conditions, like first right of getting paid out, right? Which is like a terrible stipulation that basically if you sell your company, the VCs will get paid first and the founders get paid last, and you'll get paid pennies on the dollar. Which is why, like, Y Combinator, for example, has created the idea of a safe, right? That's a simple agreement for future equity. Like, you should always use a safe, just like push the safe, push the safe, push the safe. They created it for a reason. It's to create standardization in which protects founders, and VCs are basically like used to it for now, right? It's basically like hamstringing them from trying to take advantage of you. And so always, always, always use a safe and build your product. Get as much leverage as you can, right? The more leverage that you have, the easier it is when negotiating, when raising money. Like if you have a product, that's leverage. If you have users, that's leverage. If you're monetized, if you're making money, that's leverage, right? And so by like improving all of the leverage will help you raise. You can raise without any of this if you're like really good at sales and you know how to tell the proper story and you know how to like write your deck in a way that will FOMO in these funds into investing into you, right? Like it's all a big game in a way at the end of the day. And so you have to learn how to play the game or it will like rinse you, like it's just about being careful and understanding who you want in your corner. I'm always a big fan of angel investors. We or looking for, I don't even know how legally if I'm what I'm supposed to say here, but like, oh,
Don't
like,
worry.
for Angel.
People already know. People already know. Angels, that's it. Don't worry. This is like amazing advice, Brian. I yeah, I keep smiling and laughing like out here I'm muted because like I cannot agree more with what you're saying is what I'm seeing like around a lot of founders fail because they didn't do correct agreements at first. They rushed into getting funded by VCs. They didn't think of the long-term relationship of what we talked about. That is, it's more than money, right? And I was going to ask you something, but you already asked in the middle of that. I was going to ask you if you had one advice for devs wanting to turn a side project into a real project, what do you recommend, right? And I think you can answer this now, but like I want to take from what you said, leverage, generate leverage. That means users, that means community, that means following, that means clients, that means you creating something that people are using, that is leverage. Because if you come to someone asking for money and you tell them we already got 5,000 users, I cannot tell you how much different that is. Even if you're the best at pitching, even if you have the best deck ever and the best pitching and sales pitch and whatever, that cannot beat real users, that cannot beat real traction, that cannot beat community, right? Um,
Hmm.
so that thing that you mentioned, leverage, I think it's awesome. And I didn't know how to put it. That's what we're kind of trying to do with this 3-week bootcamp is generate that leverage from 0 to 1 and see if you gain traction sharing with like-minded people, with tweeting, with building in public, with creating something in public so that you start creating that leverage from early on, early stage. I would like to ask you, people are just saying amazing advice, man, straight up facts. Brian got gems, 100%. Um, we have a few questions, so and we have a little bit of time, so let's try to keep it short. Daniel asked, how do you see Ton ecosystem and the Telegram mini apps as a solution for the lack of mobile apps? Great question.
Great question. I'll preface this with I'm not super familiar with Ton, so take whatever I say with a grain of salt. But my perspective here is that because they've optimized to integrate directly with Telegram, I think it solves a few problems. One is that you don't have to like really go directly to like the app stores, which is obviously like a problem for mobile, right? You have to be approved by like the Apple App Store. And so by integrating directly with Telegram, you sort of have this easy access to users as well, because right, millions of people use Telegram, and so it also helps you bootstrap much easier from the beginning, right? Of like, how do I acquire like initial users? And the Telegram and Ton ecosystem, I actually met their head of I think she was head of growth, but I don't exactly remember. I met her in DevCon, and they're very passionate about helping out their community and the apps that build on them and getting them a lot of users. And so that's really cool. But I also see it as more of like a stopgap, right? It's like a temporary thing. Like we need more mobile native apps, like right. Like people try to do PWAs, for example, which is again just a stopgap. Like normal
What are PWAs?
it's like when you go, it's like when you go into like Google Safari, Google Chrome or Safari, and then you save the link to the website onto your phone as if
Oh,
it
yeah,
were an app, right?
yeah,
But it's not
correct.
an actual app through the App Store. And so it's sort of like a okay workaround, but the app, if you're trying to reach mass scale, and yeah, progressive web apps, thank you. If you're trying to reach mass scale, right, you need to be on the app stores, right? That's where people search for things. That's where like the average human looks for things. Like it's funny, like people think, oh, it's like really easy to go to the website and then save it as a link, right? And then like access it through that. But that's still too hard in my opinion. Like as someone who's like very passionate about UX, it's like that's too much cognitive overhead. That's too much thinking that the user has to do. Like they're conditioned to go to the app store and like search the app and download it. Like once certain user experiences are become routine, right, for them, that's like the way their brain thinks. ABC, 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 ABC. If you're trying to, no, you should do like ADF instead. It's like that's too much, right? People want to do ABC, ABC, ABC. And so you sort of have to like build the UX around these natural thought processes while innovating in little places where you can.
That last phrase, I'm gonna frame it and put it on my wall. And this is for every dev out there. You don't build the experience you want, you build the experience the user wants, right? That is the key of all of this. It's a shame that users maybe don't know how to do DeFi, but you need to take that in, understand your audience, and decide who you're gonna build for. If it's for DeFi degens and a very niche thing, or if you want to go broader, you're gonna have to decide these things. The chat is going crazy, dude. They love you, as I knew they would.
I
Another
know.
great question.
That's such a kind thing. Thank you, bro. I love you too, man.
Please, yeah, 100%. So, Blessed UX is asking, what is a red flag in your opinion when getting an offer from for investment? What's a reasonable future equity agreement?
It's so conditional, right? It depends on red flags generally are when they want to deviate too far from the agreement, from the safe agreement, and when they want to like push their own, right? Then they say, oh, because that will require you to get a lawyer, right? And then you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a personalized contract that then like this has happened to a friend, right? They spent, $20,000 on this, and then the investor pulls out, and you know what, never mind. It's like, and you just burned $20,000 doing nothing. And so it's like when they should be looking to support you in what you want to do. They should be willing to introduce you to their other connections, their other investors. They should be, whether or not they're like willing to lead the round, they should still be helping you fill the round. And honestly, a big red flag for me when meeting people are people who talk too fast. Like I know I sort of talk too, I talk fast, right, for an interview, but like I meet people who don't give me an opportunity to speak, and they just run me through really complex stuff like and diagrams and this and and that's red flag for me. I'm like, you are giving me too much information that like I think I'm like a reasonably smart human.
Information overload. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
when I'm being overloaded by that, it's like it's a red flag for me because I'm like, what are you hiding? Like, what are you hiding within the cracks of everything that you're throwing at me? And why are you overloading me? Like, you don't have to. Like, people can understand when you're overloading someone else with like too much information. And so they
Mhm.
should really be trying to get you to understand what they're talking about. So that's honestly one of my biggest red flags. Another one is when they come to the agreement with too hard. Like they should, in my opinion, people who want to work with you should be offering an agreement that is reasonably in line. Where if I have to negotiate against you, that we're close to where we need to be. Right? I've received agreements that are just crazy extortionate, right? With the intention of, oh no, you're supposed to negotiate against me, right? But it's like you are giving me something that's so far in left field that I would need to negotiate you like 95% down. I think just from the
Yeah.
get-go, we are so far in terms of alignment that I don't think I want to do business with you.
One or two negotiations, like back and forth, is fine. There's always details, there's always things, but if you feel like you're miles away from that, that's not good at all. Okay, that's amazing advice. Thank you very much. I'm gonna finish this with a few comments that I'm seeing, just praising you, man. This is great. Brian is the first tech bro I met that seems to have a soul and a deeper understanding of human actions. I love you, dude. I love it. The chat is filled with love. Awesome. Um, Harold also says, I worked with people who worked at BlackRock who acted like that, and uh, they always word salad while doing zero work. Great. See, we have people in the chat vouching for you. I'm getting DMs as well saying Brian is preaching. Honestly, thank you so much for being here. Is there any last words that you want to say? Can people try Pistachio already? Can you go and download it? When is it live? Yeah.
Very soon. Yeah, I would love to kind of to give a little background of the app and my baby that we've been building. Um, so you can go right now, you can go to Pistachio.fi and sign up for our wait list. We'll be launching very, very, very soon. We actually already had an open beta. We had to reclose it because we are unfortunately gutting part of our app to replace another part of our app because of the support reason that I mentioned earlier. And so that's nearly done. And then we have two big partnerships coming up. We're going to be integrating with Plume and Mantle. And so, hopefully Mode in the also the near future as well to get you guys on there. Um,
Hopefully, Mode. Very cool. We hope to see Mode in there.
yeah, and you guys are all on all of our infrastructure partners, so it should be a very easy integration. So I'm thinking we should be live again sometime in February. Really, the goal is to be downloadable on both on both app stores by the end of February, which is ETH Denver. We're going to be at ETH Denver. I'll be there if anyone wants to say hi, meet up. We're going to also have an event. It's going to be a rather exclusive event, so apply early if you want to get in. We're going to be hosting like a Super Smash Brothers tournament, and
Oh,
so
I'll be there. I'm
yeah,
not good, but I'll be there 100%. Awesome. Then Denver is the date, and go to Pistachio.fi to register in the wait list. That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. We have an agenda to continue with, and we're gonna talk about like a general overview of the course that we have ahead. I'm sorry, Richard and Obi, for like having to go after this. It's gonna be hard to keep people as happy as Brian did. But yeah, Brian, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your insights. It's been great meeting you, and yeah, you know where to follow him. If you're an angel, you know who to reach, and if you want to test out the product, go register in the wait list. Just thank you very much for joining us.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Have a nice day, Brian. See ya.
All right, bye, guys.
So now, Richard, I'm bringing you on stage now, I think, and Obi, you as well. Obi, Richard, how are you, my friends?
We're all
Doing
doing
great.
good. We're all doing good. Everybody can hear me.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to give an overview of the program. Thank you so much. I'll be listening down here and checking the comments as well. All yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, all right, all right. Let's just give the screen a few seconds to load. Let's just give the screen a few seconds to load. And I'm sure everybody can see what is on their screen. And we had an amazing talk by Brian. He gave some golden nuggets for you as potential founders. And all I want to just say is hola, konnichiwa, ni hao, and hello to everybody. And this is part of the AI Agent Founder School with Mode and Bcamp, bringing you all the heat. I'll be taking you over to my presenter as well, Richard. Can you kindly please continue, give them a beautiful walkthrough about what it is they came here for? They came here to learn how to turn that beautiful idea into a reality to contribute to the Web3 community.
Awesome. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, Fede. And I was also inspired by Brian. So this has been really fun putting this together. And we're just going to go over some logistics. So now is the boring part. So I'll try to keep everybody's attention. But if you haven't seen this yet, this is the course overview for the AI Agent Founder School. We introduced this on Wednesday or yesterday, depending on your time zone. And this is a 3-week program. You can see here there are some videos that you can go through. There's one challenge a week. So we just released these videos for week 2 and the challenge for week 2. So we're going to go over this. And then for week 3, those will come out on Monday, the 24th. So let's take a look here. Our first challenge. I hope everybody knows about the first challenge. We've tried to spam every channel we can with the first challenge. In order to get into the program, you must submit a pitch. I've seen pitches coming in during this session, so it's awesome. The pitches so far have been fantastic. We're really excited to see some of these projects get built or refined. And I think this is a really good start to the program. I think it's going to be work really well. So what's next? We're going to talk about teams. I love that Brian said, if you want to go far, go together. Uh, we really try to encourage people to work in teams. I think, like what Fede said, investors like to see a well-rounded team that you can work with other human beings, and that you'll be more likely to succeed if you have a good team. So once we get all of the pitches in, what is going to happen is we are going to take every pitch that is a novel idea that people want to work on, and we are going to submit a survey to everybody. So again, in order to get into the program, you have to submit a pitch. Even if it's not a novel idea, you can pitch a current agent that exists. But this is your ticket in. And so everybody who submits a pitch will get this survey. And basically, you'll have three options. You can say, I want to work on my own, or I already have a team. And then you can say who your team is, and you'll be good to go. Number two is, I want to work on my own idea, and I'm open to having some team members join me and help out. We'll talk about how this is going to work. Again, we encourage you to do it. And number three is, I want to join another team. If you choose number three, you'll get an option to select your top 5 projects. And you'll also have the option to choose a role for the project. So there's going to be 5 potential roles. And these are basically what you're inclined to work on. This helps. We have a very short time frame to form teams, and so this helps the teams gel, provide at least some direction on what each person should be doing. And you can definitely help out in other ways. Basically, especially if you're joining somebody else's project, we just encourage you to get in touch with them. We'll do some breakout sessions next week as well for people to get to know their teams, and just come in and help however you can. Whatever they need you to do is what we encourage you to do. But again, this helps in terms of team formation and in helping the team get started a little bit more quickly. So also, again, if you're someone who pitched an idea, we will also have you select a role that you want to play, because then we'll try to help fill out some of these other roles for your team. So questions on this, submit them in the Telegram group. Again, we'll happy to answer there. So we already talked about this. Once the team is formed, so again, we'll have preferences, and we will form these teams over the weekend. So pitches are due by the end of the day, UTC today. We will get a survey out early tomorrow morning. You'll have about 24, 36 hours to fill that survey out. And then we will form teams, and we're going to meet on Monday. So once we have the teams formed, how it works is 2 times. So next week we're really going to be focusing on creating an architecture for your agent, writing the initial code for your agent. And so a week from Monday, and then the following Monday, we're going to send out a form for everyone to rate how well your teammates are performing. And those rankings, one is going to give you some feedback about how much you're contributing to the team. Those will also determine how much of the prize money you get. If your team wins a prize, you will get a percentage based on the ratings that your team members provided. So again, it's really important to, once you get assigned to a team, go in there and, whatever role you chose, make sure that that is taken care of, that it's dialed, and that you're looking for other ways to help your team succeed. We'll talk about what the prizes are at the end, but there's some really compelling prizes. Every team that creates a good MVP should win something. We've set aside $35,000 to distribute among every single team that creates a good MVP. So this is pretty cool. And let's see, I just have a couple more slides here. So I think this next slide is just a reiteration. We don't like freeloaders. Again, there's this balance of we want people to work on teams, and there's some challenges that come with that. That's where these team ratings will come in. I think it's also really good feedback. It creates some good conversations about how you can really contribute to your team. And again, if you join a team and you don't do anything, you won't get any of the prize money. So final slide, I believe, and then we'll get into talking about some prizes. This is the final logistics portion. Once your team is formed, or even if you want to get a little bit of a head start, you saw the course webpage. The challenge is open. There's some videos that walk you through how to use some tools to really help you build your agents on chain. And the challenge for next week, again, this will be due a week from Monday on January 24th, is to post another 3-minute video we'll create a new Telegram channel for the week 2 challenge. And you're going to post a 3-minute video reviewing the architecture and your code. So you can talk through what models you chose to use, what frameworks you're using to help manage your agent, what tools your agent is connecting to, and even getting in and showing how you are building your agent. These videos will be visible to the final judges at the end. And so you want to give a good overview of your architecture and, you know, give a concise overview of where you're at. And then the final challenge in week 3 will be to give an overview of your deployed agent and how it works. So I believe that is everything for logistics. Let me check the comments here. Somebody asked, let's see, let's show this. Can the same team submit one pitch for tonight? Yes, if you have one idea, every individual still needs to pitch something. So if you have a team already, you can pitch the same idea, but each person needs to talk through and say how they're thinking about the idea. Or you can have your team members just go pick an agent, a cool agent that's already deployed, and practice doing a pitch on an agent that is already deployed. And then you can form your team using the survey. But in order to participate, every individual does need to pitch. Now, that being said, if people want to help out, help build your project and not officially be a part of the program, there's nothing stopping them. But in order to be a member of the team, in order to receive prize money, you do need to submit a pitch by the end of the day. Hope that answers the question. Again, post it on Telegram if that does not, and we will try to clarify. So let's keep going here. Let's talk about the prizes. So Mode has been awesome. Mode is awesome. Mode is hot right now. They're doing really cool things. They're really becoming a leader in the AI agent on chain world. And there's just been a lot of excitement about this program. So there is over $100,000 in prizes. And this is the basic breakdown of how the prizes are going to work. So again, at the end of the 3 weeks, we're going to have a panel of judges that will rate every project. The top 3 projects will get $15,000 per team. The idea here is that we give you some money. If you want, you can go, you can go and build. You can go continue to build your project if that works out. You will also get an automatic admission, a golden ticket into the Mode incubation program. This will provide additional support for you to build your project, marketing support, releasing a token, anything else that you need. Mode is really good at creating support to get these projects to market. And then also 3-month cost coverage. So this is the idea here is to cover your infra costs. And so again, the idea is we're just trying to make it possible that if your project wins, that you at least have a chance to go and take it to the next step. There are 2 sponsored ideas. I believe I've seen a pitch or 2 related to these. So the Avalon, one of our sponsors, threw out a couple of ideas and said, hey, if anybody wants to build these, we will provide $10,000. So if you're interested in this, there's an Avalon channel in the Telegram. Pitch your idea, reach out to the Avalon team, and these are good ways to build something cool, especially if you don't have an idea that you are married to. And then finally, we already talked about this, is that we're setting aside $35,000 to distribute among every team that qualifies. Qualifying meaning that you get above some threshold with the final judging panel. So every project that is a good project that that works and that you went through the whole process should receive some money. I think we're up to about 35, 40 pitches already in the channel. You know, once we narrow that down to people who actually want to build that project, you know, we might end up with 40 teams or something. And so, you know, every team should get a little bit of money if you complete the program. So with that, we'll talk a little bit about our sponsors. And we went through this as well in our recorded live stream on Wednesday. So we'll spend a little bit less time here, but we do really want to thank our sponsors. They make it possible for us to run programs like this. So thank you, Avalon Labs, really cool liquidity hub for BTC-Fi. And again, they have those 2 sponsored projects and they're in the Telegram channel. Thank you, Gold Sky, real-time data platform. This will be super important as you are building your agents. Often what enables really cool agents is really accessible and useful data. So Gold Sky has also offered free access for all participants in this program, which is awesome. And thank you, Crossmint. They're also offering, you know, some additional bonuses in Crossmint credits. And one of the main platforms that we like to use that we're creating videos for this program is the GOAT SDK, and Crossmint is one of the primary contributors to the GOAT SDK. So with that, thank you everybody for joining. We're excited. This really engaged chat, great speakers. We'll have some additional guest speakers in our weekly sessions. For those who submit a pitch this weekend, again, you'll get a survey to form teams. You will also get some meeting invites. We're going to do 2 sessions a week. There's going to be a Monday session and a Friday session right around the same time. So look for those calendar invites. And these will be a little bit more intimate sessions where everyone will be able to come in and talk, and we'll do some exercises and some breakout rooms. So it'll be really fun, really good opportunity to meet other developers. And yeah, as always, let us know if you have questions. Post in the Telegram channel is probably the best way to ask a question. And look out this weekend for some calendar invites, the survey, and we'll see everyone next week.
All right. So I'd like to thank everybody for making it here. For those who are still in the chat, thank you for making it this far. And you have seen what you're here for, you know. Everybody's welcome. Tech, non-tech, whatever you are, you know, alien, come on, guys. We're all welcome in here. Just make sure that once you hop in, you do your teamwork. Make sure that you combine your team with people with different skill sets. That is what makes a successful team. When you are weak, I am strong. And when I'm strong and you might be weak, we cover your strengths. And once again, you know, just make sure that you submit your tasks for the following weeks, and also make sure you check in on Telegram. That will be one of the main points of communication. And chat with each other, engage, invite each other on Twitter, invite each other on LinkedIn. You know, my handle is at ShadowGhost001 on that Twitter. And make sure that you also communicate with the mode team. You know, no idea is dumb. Just remember that. All it needs is a bit of refination. Let me call it that. You know, make up my own word. Is refination. Talk to the mode team. See how you can bring it to life, or even pivot right into that main point. But thank you very much for making it to the session and ensuring that you ask the questions. You're inquisitive. you are involved, because that is what we are about when we have teamed up and Mode is teamed up with the B Camp team. Be sure to keep in touch and enjoy the weekend, and everybody stay safe. Thank you.